Hello, this is just a really impromptu video, completely unscripted. It might be quite rambling, probably not going to edit it very much. I was umming and ahhing last week, seeing the date this week, the 1 year anniversary of Doctor Who Series 11 starting. I was umming and ahhing whether to make a video just to mark that occasion, really, and to look back on the start of this new era. It's not really new anymore, but the 30th Doctor's era, the Chibnall era. This is just going to be really, really rambly. But, yeah, The Woman Who Fell to Earth is a story that I really like. It's one that I've returned to quite a lot over the past year, really. I think there's something quite comforting about going back to the post-regeneration stories, the start of the new era, start of a series, start of a new era, because they always start off a bit, the Doctor having just regenerated and being in a bit of a state of disrepair, really, and then gradually, as that episode progresses, and then the rest of the series as well, that Doctor finds their feet and becomes their own person again, really, and so there's something quite comforting, I think, about seeing that progression. This episode came at quite a good time for me. It coincided very nicely with me going to university in October 2018, so this actually just came right at the end of my Freshers' Week. And throughout the first term as well, I had Doctor Who there every Sunday night. It was always there. So whatever else was going on, Doctor Who was always there, and you could rely on that. So it was nice to have it there, and particularly, as I say, to have this post-regeneration story coinciding with this period of change in my own life. So I think a lot of the story's ideas about change and just the whole kind of vibe of it really resonated with me at the time. And not to go into things too much, personal details and all that, but I had a bit of a dip at university in term 2, to the point where I started commuting more and coming back home, and to the point where I'm now doing that full time. And at the time I started doing this, the soundtrack for Series 11 had just come out, January, February 2019. So I listened to that a lot on my train journey. So, and especially the soundtrack for this episode, which I think is really good. Love the little themes, the 13th Doctor's theme emerging from the sonic screwdriver rendition when she's making the sonic, right up until the confrontation with Tim Shah, and then finally when she's getting her new outfit as well, and how that just resurfaces throughout the episode and slowly kind of builds and accumulates towards the end of the episode. And also the soundscape for Sheffield as well, the kind of industrial sounds, and Sega Nakanola's work on that. And the music as well, like I say, it kind of reflects that period of unease, of uncertainty. Oh, we've got a new Doctor, she's not quite sure of her personality yet. So I find a lot of that quite comforting, really, to listen back to and to go back to listening to, and the progression of that throughout the episode from that period of uncertainty, really, to when the Doctor's sure of herself at the end of the episode. Of course, the other link, is that there is a train in the episode. It's where the Doctor crashes to 7 minutes in or whatever it is. So that was a nice little link. And me being from, well, not being from Yorkshire, but living in Yorkshire as well, it's not really very close to Sheffield, But nevertheless, it was nice to have that little touch there, that little connection as well, which I appreciated. And a word about the actual story as well, which I think is really nicely told and paced. The characters, all great and likeable. Tim Shaw, I love as a villain now. I wasn't too sure of him at the time. Tim Shaw. I thought he was a bit generic, but actually going back, I think he's really intimidating, particularly in how he's shot with those very close, high-angle close-ups that they get of him. His toothy face, love that as well. And the whole kind of atmosphere of the episode all being filmed at night and set at night as well. I think I read somewhere, I think it was in the audio commentary actually, the director or producer said that there was a conscious decision to have it all set at night because of how the lighting, they could control the lighting a lot more, and that would give a more cinematic feel, and it works really well. Again, at the time I thought it was a bit gloomy perhaps, but actually no, reconsidering it, it looks gorgeous, this episode. The very first scene actually as well of the sunset down on the hill, where Ryan is with his gran and his granddad, Graham and Grace, and riding his bike. That's beautifully shot. It's one of my favourite moments from the whole series, really. It's gorgeous. The greens and the kind of the autumnal sunset in the background and the colour of the leaves and things. really like how there's that tinge of sadness at the end and tinge of melancholy with Grace's death, and how it's a bit unresolved. You know, you expect everything to be resolved by the ending, but that's left open, really. And there's unresolved tension between Graham and Ryan, which is left open. You know, in many ways, it's not really a happy ending. It's quite adult, really. And going back to that theme of change as well, I mean, we've got the Doctor changing on one hand. She's changed from Peter Capaldi to Jodie Whittaker. You know, Peter Capaldi has died, or the 12th Doctor has died, in a manner of speaking. And then Grace is also dying here. You know, change doesn't happen without consequence, and the consequence of the positive of these characters being propelled forward into their adventures and having this friendship with the Doctor that emerges from it, that the negative consequence of that, of course, is Grace's death, which kind of balances it out, really, if that makes sense. So I appreciate that bit as well, and just the way that the story ends. I think the funeral scene is really nice, and just the sensitivity to that scene, and to the whole way that Grace's death is treated. Obviously, with Chibnall coming from Broadchurch, he knows a lot about death and grief and stuff like that. And the Doctor's speech about family as well at the end, carrying them with her in all that she says and does, is just really nice, and really nicely shot with that Sheffield skyline in the background as well. So yeah, that's what it's meant to me, this episode. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this, if you liked it, and what this episode has meant to you, really. What you make of it, what memories you might have attached to it. I don't know, maybe it's just me that has stuff like that. But no, let me know in the comments if you have anything to say about that, and I'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, I have got a Series 11 themed project coming up soon, like a video essay type thing, which should be interesting. No details on that just yet, but it's sort of linked to what I've been talking about in this video a bit, but on a broader scale for the whole series. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this, however many minutes of rambling it's been, and just sticking with me and listening to it all. And I will see you soon for more new videos. So, goodbye for now, guys.